What up, Eagle Talk fam?
Hey y'all, welcome to Eagle Talk Tuesday. I'm here with my bride. We are back in action.
Yes, we are here. And y'all, we are having so much fun with the podcast. Over the past couple of weeks, we have been talking relationships, but we are going to shift gears a bit today. But before we hop into it, let's do a quick little check-in.
I am under the weather, as you guys probably can hear. Been in the bed the last 2 days. Tested negative for COVID twice.
2 times, y'all. And listen, I gave him that government COVID test, right?
I think I got COVID.
It was so difficult just to get him to but 2 times tested negative.
But I'm here, and we're gonna talk about one of the things that we're gonna talk about is showing up when you don't feel like it, and that's gonna go with the topic of today.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was like, are we talking about that? But yeah. I see how you wove it.
Segue.
How you wove it in there. Mm-hmm. Well, okay. So my check-in is Corey has been sick, so y'all know what that means. But no, honestly, you haven't been worrisome.
No.
It's something about when men get sick, generally, ladies, like, drop it in the chat, let us know. It's just y'all just different, but you've been thugging it out. And
well, this time I slept a lot.
He did sleep a lot. Now I will have to say that I had to, which also goes with our theme about entrepreneurship. Sometimes you have to have somebody pull your coattail, like, it will be okay, like that will be there tomorrow,
because I tried not to sleep a lot.
Yeah, and I was like, you need to give your body rest. And yes. I kind of checked, well, I don't know if check is the word, but I had him think critically about his business and said, hey, if your business can't make it without you for 48 hours, we need to reevaluate the situation.
Correct.
So, but no, my check-in is things are going pretty good. We are in the swing of summer already in Texas. So all of the end of the year activities. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm looking forward to, it's that conundrum. Like, I love it when it's school time and my son is in school, but I also really appreciate a little bit of a laid back structure. Yeah. Not having to go bam, bam, bam in the morning, a little longer with my morning routine. Because I don't have to get him on a bus. So I appreciate that.
He gets out of school next Wednesday, by the way. So if y'all want to share some tips on what she would be doing with this little joker, y'all let us know.
Yes. Okay, so here is another thing too with Corey and I. Tomorrow, we are celebrating 50 days of no alcohol.
And that's what we draw the flag, y'all. It's been good. Hold me. No, I'm just playing. No, it's been good. I'm cracking the joke. I will say though, we have first of all, I've been waking up early in the morning, which is good for me. But I'm also, the clarity in my thoughts and in my visions and everything has definitely outweighed the alcohol. The
past 50 days, y'all, have been interesting. Like, we have been on date nights because we're in the middle of the Eagle Talk date night challenge.
Drinking mocktails.
We've been making mocktails, but I had to tell Corey I had to quit the mocktails because
she says too much sugar.
It was too much sugar. We've been making homemade
virgin
mojitos. We went to Vegas and did not cocktail, and that's just, it's always kind of been a part of our rhythm, and we challenged ourselves personally and professionally just to say, hey, if we were to take this out of our lives, what would that look like?
A little weird.
It is a little weird. And let me tell you what's weird. It's weird because some days, like when we go hang out, I come home and I wake up in the morning and I wake up thinking that I'm going to be a little sluggish from the night before. And then when I'm not, I'm like, oh, okay. But true, like, let's give a true assessment though. Like, how
I was talking about no drinking in Vegas was weird.
Oh, no drinking in Vegas.
The at home stuff, we got that down.
Yeah, we got it down. But in general, like, how do you feel? Like, do you feel better? Do you think it's something you want to continue? Do we have a goal?
Feel great. I don't have a hard stop date right now. I'm just gonna see how long it goes, and I will admit though, I'm a lot more focus driven, and I'm getting a lot accomplished.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I agree. Although I will say I'm a little disappointed. I thought that I would not drink for 50 days and lose 20 pounds, and that hasn't happened. But we shall see.
It's all right. You halfway there.
Yeah. I'm halfway to what?
Your goal.
Okay.
You focus.
Well, here we go. Well, my habits. But anyway, getting into our topic for today.
Hey guys, do us a favor. Like, share, and subscribe. We are on the roll. It's getting gooder and gooder.
You want to tell them what we're talking about, babe?
Yeah, we are on the entrepreneurship 2-part series, and it's called Everybody Wants to Be an Entrepreneur Until. So we're going to discuss some until.
Yes. So I was at church or listening to church virtually on Sunday, and our pastor gave a statistic about how many people entered entrepreneurship, especially during the pandemic. And part of that was, just a barrage of reasons. I think social media has a lot to do with it. I think people are really, we're not just stuck at a job, and we're looking at what our options are. And you all know that Corey and I are totally, encouragers of entrepreneurship. But I think one of the reasons why entrepreneurship is so popular is that everybody always talks about the perks of it. Until you get in that thing, though, sometimes you're like, oh, this is a part of it.
There are a lot of perks, but I think I was once told in my early 20s that you will work harder for yourself than you would anybody else.
Yeah, and you should. You should.
And I really think that's true. I mean, if to be successful,
that's the key.
A high 8-figure earner, it's gonna take some hard work. Or consistent work. Yeah. Right. Sometimes it's not the hard part, it's the consistent part. And what you just said, Corey, was dead on, because I just think about, unfortunately, I know people in real estate, talking to different realtors, and they just can't get it together. Like, their businesses aren't clicking. But then when we really talk about their activities and what they're doing, they're not working nearly as hard for themselves as they did when they were working for someone else. And it is evident. So we have a couple things, and this, as we were prepping for this episode, so much came out. We got to make it a 2-part series. Yeah. So part 1 is this week, part 2 next week. So everyone wants to be an entrepreneur until what? Until, like Mike Tyson said, they get punched in the face. That's when you really understand what your life needs to be about. And I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's really a true statement. Like, when you get hit, or something doesn't work out, or you give a lot of time and you don't get compensated, or you are depending on something to come through and it falls through and those bills are due, then you really find out, what that lane in your life really looks like.
So what has that looked like for you? Can you give an example of a time or something?
How much time we got? It's looked like a lot of failing forward. It used to look like a lot of questioning myself and if I was really built for the lifestyle that I was trying to create.
Yeah.
But then I turned a corner and just bet on myself. I don't know at what point in life, but I just truly said, if I'm going to do this, then I have to A, believe in what I'm doing, and then B, I'm going to just, Will Smith has a thing that he always say, with 2 people on the treadmill, 2 things are going to happen. Yeah. You either going to get off first or he's going to die on the treadmill. Yeah. Like, that's my mentality with my business.
No. And when you said that about just getting punched in the face, I think about even myself, like getting into real estate, you have an idea of what it's going to look like. And if we're being honest, anything you're working towards, you hit a patch. But there's something about entrepreneurship that when you hit that patch, you're like, man, was this a mistake?
Yeah.
Should I be doing this? Like, my life didn't have this same type of stress. And then what happens is when you're in that tough part, we tend to romanticize the thing that we wanted to get away from. Yeah. I didn't really, teaching wasn't my jam, but at least this, or at least I knew what to expect. So I have heard that time and time again where, that first kind of hump or that third hump and you get punched in the face. It's like everybody wants to talk about how cush it is to be an entrepreneur until, that bank account negative. So
I'm going to swing it back to the beginning of the conversation when we were in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. I don't know, we were shopping. I don't know what we were doing, but you had made a statement. And it was like, man, these people out here balling. We was in Louis Vuitton or something, and they, shorty's coming out with 4-5 bags. And I was like, don't you believe it? Some of these people been, planning, working 51 weeks to get this 1 week off, And not that, some people weren't doing good or bad, but it was like a lot of times what you think you see is not what you see.
And listen, that's what entrepreneurship, like we talk about entrepreneurship, but we can tag that on anything. Absolutely. Like we post pictures with our kids, like, oh, family day night, but you ain't see how we like almost threatened our little kid if he didn't eat them chicken tenders he just had to have. So here is another one that I thought about. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until you have to truly manage your own time.
That's a really good one.
That is a huge one. And we were talking with our engineer, our producer extraordinaire, Glennis Edits.
Luther Bailey.
Utah gave his whole government name.
LB.
Look, y'all can't see Glennis, but Glennis is the homie. And we were just talking about all these myths. And this is like hands down, like, this was me. Like, I want, it sounds so sexy to be in control of your time and have a flexible schedule, and can't nobody tell me what to do, and I'm gonna show up when I want to show up. But what happens, y'all, is that for a lot of us, we need structure.
Yeah.
And when you are working for yourself and you don't necessarily have anybody checking in, and, I tell realtors all the time, like, your broker is not your boss. There are certain things where you have to show up for yourself. And yes, a flexible schedule is cool and it's sexy and it's great to have. But when you really out here managing your time and you're just flailing and you look up, my girl Shalina, she always tells me when she quit teaching to become a real estate agent, like, her day started after Judge Judy was over. And Judge Judy went off at like 1 p.m. So she was just kind of hanging around. It just didn't make sense. So learning how to manage your time.
Shout out to Shalina. That's honesty right there.
That is honesty.
Where do I go after Judge Judy at 1 p.m.? I was going to everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until you have to continue to educate yourself and be educated in your field. I'll take you back to the top of the year when I had all of these, rambunctious goals. And one of my goals, which is still on my mirror, was to have 100 rentals, 100 doors. And about beginning of April, I realized, I think I'm at mid-40s right now, and I realized this is not going to happen one house at a time.
Yeah. I
need to buy multifamily. 2 nights ago, I'm sick as a dog when I'm listening to Ryan Panetta, and he is about to close on 81 units. You have the University of Iowa, and right next door was a complex that was built about maybe 25, 30 years ago, but he's purchasing it right now for like, I don't know, $3-4 million with some partners. But then it clicked. Like, this can't happen one door at a time. I have to get multifamily because I only have 7 months in the year, right? I would not have gotten that in my spare time if I wasn't continue to research and hone in on my craft.
So I love that you say that, because I remember, when I was teaching, there was one part of our teaching year was to have planned professional development. Mm-hmm. And that's when our principal would plan for, if we were rolling out a new thing, or just us, what's called masterminding right now for entrepreneurs was lesson planning, right? Me and my fellow teaching team, us coming with the meeting of the minds, like, help me see how you doing this, experts coming in, giving us research. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's different when someone's telling you, like, hey, on Tuesday at 8:00, instead of clocking in and coming to the building, we're going to fly you out. Corporate people, we're going to fly you out for this meeting to learn about this product.
Right.
As an entrepreneur, you have to do that on your own.
You do.
And the problem, y'all, is that this is what I noticed even about myself, and I've shifted that this year, is that most people are not used to investing in themselves. Right?
Say that again.
Most people are not used to investing in themselves. So we'll buy a purse, we'll go out to dinner, we'll go on a vacation, but most people are not willing to get uncomfortable and, join a mastermind if it's $25,000, or go to this professional development. Like, it blew my mind when we did Eagle Talk Live, how we were damn near begging people to spend $100 to come and learn from some of the, and just to be in a network of those who knew a lot. And in that entrepreneur life, you have to, I think one of the greatest traits of the people who know the most, Bill Gates, it said that Bill Gates, he reads like 100 books a year, right?
Yeah.
And you would think somebody like Bill Gates is so knowledgeable, but the key is he's knowledgeable because he's always putting himself in position to learn more. But as an entrepreneur, we want to know everything. everything. We want to do everything. And we don't always put ourselves in position to grow professionally. So just know that if you are looking to be an entrepreneur, put yourself in rooms where you don't know everything and where you're going to learn something. And that's something you really need to consider when, just going into any field.
Yeah, I think too, when we're talking entrepreneurship, and it's always, until this happens or until that happens. But I think a lot of it, the world talks mindset right now. I just think that's just a easy term to use. But even when you were watching This Is Us last night, and
wait, hold on, we gotta pause. This Is Us.
Yeah.
Listen,
I don't know what happened, but it's been deep. I know that.
Okay, keep going.
But she was watching This Is Us last night, and again, I've been under the weather for the last what's today, whatever today is. I ain't been out the house in 4 days to today. So I just been working on my mentals, and I was in the media room, and she asked me, well, what are you watching? And I literally was watching a documentary, a biography on Albert Einstein. Mm-hmm. And the reason I was doing it, I don't know how it came up in my feed, but I like to find out how people think in this time period and ones before. Yeah. Like, who knew that Albert Einstein could not make a complete sentence until he was 5? Did you know that?
Isn't that interesting?
That's what's crazy. He was. Yeah. And went on to teach in all of these colleges and got the Nobel Peace Prize, and it was just a really interesting story. But saying that to say, same thing with business and entrepreneurship. You have to get outside of yourself and your zone to be able to analyze others and take pieces of people's stories and their lessons of what they taught and bring into your life, so to just make your transition just a little bit smoother.
Yeah, and as we talk about investing in professional development, don't get it twisted. Your corporate companies or your school districts, they're investing in growing you professionally because they know that the more knowledge they get you, the more exposure they give you, the more profitable you're going to be for the company. Right? The more vital. And
also, the more that other people may want you to go to.
Exactly. So if your company is willing, like when you're in corporate, if your company is willing to send you to a thing, and let me just say this too. If you are seeking entrepreneurship and you are working for a company, you better study how they run their company, these Fortune 500s and all that stuff. And, don't be pouting when they ask you to go somewhere, because that professional development, the things that you're learning there, can also be impactful on your entrepreneurship journey. So, and they shouldn't be the only ones willing to invest in you. So I'm gonna just get off my soapbox right there. But I love that you talked about professional development.
No, you can stay there, because even GC always said all the time. He said, don't study the smaller people. Study the Coca-Colas and the Googles and the Microsoft and the Apples, which makes sense if you understand their blueprint and what they're doing and what they've done to get to the level that they're at. It just makes sense. So what are we saying about until? Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until you have to put in the work. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing, because it's easy to get at that door and be like, oh well, it didn't open for me, or it's the wrong door, or whatever excuse you have. But it's another one to like grab somebody's hand and say, hey, we're gonna do this together in a partnership, or because this one didn't open for me, let's go down the hall and see if another one opens. Because most people just get there and they just turn around and say, it's not for me.
Yeah, forget it. I could, so many ideas. Yeah. Okay, so here's another one. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until you hear no more than you hear yes.
That's will be pretty often you're going to hear no more than you hear yes.
Yep. Listen, so I will be the first to say that I quit my whole job without really thinking through what entrepreneurship looked like. And my husband had been an entrepreneur our whole time. So the interesting thing, I was just talking to Steph. She is my assistant, was my assistant transaction coordinator, and switched over to be a real estate agent on my team. And in her position as my assistant and transaction coordinator, she was involved in the day-to-day activities of my business in every aspect, right? But now that she is on the real estate side, like these no's are kind of, like they get you. And I'm going to suggest anybody.
And that's not just one no from one direction.
No,
it could be multiple.
It could be multiple no's, right? Yeah. It could be you done had a bad real estate day, then you pull up to Costco and the gas line long. Yeah. It will break me down, right? So and I said to her, like, even though you were in my business and she saw me interacting, she saw the issues come up, I was like, was it what you thought it was as a realtor? And although she's fully confident that she should be in the space that she's in, it's totally different when you get into it. And I know that I got into this business and I didn't realize that I was in sales. I know that sounds very silly, but I didn't realize it. And one thing that you learn when you get in sales is to expect the no. But if you're a person, like, I was an elementary school teacher, like I pretty much had a fan club every day when I walked into school. Like, Miss Lewis, you so pretty, you so smart, you so funny, we love the way you read, da, 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 da. So I went from having a career where I was affirmed all the time, and then a lot of you all, like, for a lot of us, entrepreneurship isn't our first pit stop. You know, we're doing something else, working for someone else. So even if you weren't a teacher, maybe you're in a position where you know what you're doing, right? You're an expert. You're used to being an expert. You're used to being the go-to person. And now you got people actually telling you no. That don't feel good. And for some people, that can be their reason their Mike Tyson hit, and will cause them to walk away. But you got to be ready for those no's in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think that's great. And as you're speaking, I'm going to speak from you being the teacher and me being the student. And that's an until. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until they have to do some sort of self-evaluation. And that happened a couple of months ago with the Airbnb. And I'm fighting for the deal. A realtor came and tried to backslide me, and it just got real irritating to somebody that has been in the business as long as I have been. And I came home and I'm fussing and I'm cussing, and I'm talking about I'm pissed, and I'm talking about perfect house, $100,000 in equity on the table. Everything was going smooth until somebody just came in the picture out of nowhere
and tried to erect a no.
Yeah, exactly. And you really told me, you was like, I don't remember after you calmed me down, that really, as long as you've been doing this, like, nobody should get you, that riled up over a deal. And it just don't take all that. And you already know, what to do and X, Y, and Z. Bottom line is, it was a moment to where I had to reevaluate myself and my action and my reaction to the situation. And a lot of times in entrepreneurship, that's hard for people to do.
Yeah.
Definitely from their spouse.
It is.
But it's hard to, because you're always right. The world is against me.
Or you're so passionate about what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that I will say too, and I love that you're saying that, and I appreciate that.
Because
in a moment you didn't really want to hear from me.
I didn't, but we own it.
We own it.
We rehabbed it.
Yeah.
We're sitting on it.
It is what it is.
Deal. Yeah.
And that lady, like, whatever. But one thing too is that just because you get a no, don't take it personal.
Yeah,
right?
I took that very personal.
I think that a lot of times in business we take it personal because sometimes, like, sometimes you may have the best, like, if somebody out here has the best Botox in the world or the best, I'm trying to think of something I'm not into. You could do a whole full-fledged presentation from me about skincare. 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to buy it, right? And don't take it personal, but that's just not one of my interests. It doesn't fit one of my needs. But because you get a no from me, that doesn't mean you need to pack it back up and just say, forget it, let me just go back and sell Mary Kay anyway, instead of doing my own skincare line. Because a no just might mean that your product isn't the perfect fit for the person you're pitching it to, or it could be your pitch, or it could be that you need more work on closing. But don't take it as if, oh my God, I suck. Yeah. And a lot of times, and I'm telling you, I do that. Like, real estate was so personal for me that if someone wasn't taking me up on my offer, like, sis, I can't buy a house, I got $43 in the bank, oh my God, I suck, I should be right. So yes, definitely be prepared for the no's in entrepreneurship.
So here's the last one I'm going to hit you with is everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until you're missing everything. Everybody's going to the concerts on Saturday. They're going to the happy hours. They're going to all the events. Well, let me just speak for myself. When I had the barber school, we were open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 to 7. So everything on a Friday night and Saturday during the day.
You missed.
I missed. And on really Friday night, Saturday during the day, and on Saturday night, by the time I locked up, drove an hour home, I really didn't feel like going.
Yeah.
Or I wasn't mentally present. You know what I mean? I was just exhausted.
You was tired.
Yeah, so that was just like some sacrifice that I made for my business. But the point that I'm making is, a lot of times you're gonna miss some things.
You're gonna miss some, especially starting out. And but here is the interesting thing, and we are getting to live it right now, is that most times you put your head down and you work for a little while, right? I've read a thing like, if you put your head down and work for 6 months, and it doesn't always work out like this, let me just say it, you can set yourself up for the next 5 years. But truly, like, you put your head down and work, and you might have some FOMO. I never forget, I had when I first started in real estate, there were some ladies that I would brunch with. We would go to brunch like once every month or every other week or something like that. And when I first got into real estate, like, I told them, like, I can't go to brunch no more. And they kind of were like, huh? And I'm like, well, I can't go to, like, right now, my weekends, I need to be doing open houses. And I had to prioritize, right? Make sure that I was available for showings. I needed to make sure that I could do open houses, but I also needed to prioritize my family, right? So if I'm looking at my family, what my family would need of me, and what I needed to do to build this business, I didn't have a whole lot of time for recreation, and especially one-on-one recreation, right? Like, we could all meet in a group at a certain amount of time. And I know that that wasn't necessarily received. And a lot of times people don't understand, especially when you are hanging out with folks who got weekends off and summers off and stuff like that. It's just like, oh, that'll be fine.
Or retired.
Or they're like, oh, I would never, like, see, that's why that's why you'll never catch me, having a business like that, because I be needing my summers, or I be needing my whatever. And the thing is, that's cool, but you got to pick your hard, right? And for entrepreneurs, sometimes your hard looks like, now definitely learn how to manage your time so your business isn't running you. But sometimes picking your hard looks like putting in that work, right? Putting in that work, being okay with missing out on some things, so then you can live a life that live a life down the road that you don't have to miss nothing if you don't want to. But that initial time where you just have to focus, it can be tough, to tell Big Mama that, I'm saying, or not. I mean, I would go to Big Mama birthday party, yeah. But to tell your boy you can't go to his whole birthday weekend, right? Like, I can go to the comedy show, but I can't do the boat trip and and the stroll and the Sunday jazz session. Like, I can't do all that, but I will be a part of it. So just being okay with knowing that you might miss some stuff, but you're going to gain something.
Yeah, so this was a topic needed to be discussed.
Part one,
which is why we're going to have another one coming up, because I just think it's stuff that we need to help ourselves and others just think about and talk it through and really understand, are you really putting in the work, and have you signed up for what you're trying to get out of your situation? So,
do you understand what you signed up for?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, y'all. Thanks for checking in with us. We cannot wait to see you next week for part 2 of Everybody Wants to Be an Entrepreneur. Until.
Peace, y'all.